Hey, it's Seals, and what the what's up, everybody? It's Seals and your boy Xiao up in the house, and I asked you guys, do I look anything like Xiao? And you guys said I look like Klee, that I gotta go on a diet. All right, dude. Okay. Day one impressions. Weapon level 96. What the fuck? He kicks it in place. That is sick as hell. And the same thing I did with Ganyu, level 90, R1 weapon. Got her to talent level 6. I just wanted to see side by side the initial numbers and things like that. And I don't like comparing these two, but damn, dude, they both dropped the world. Even at world level 8, the highest that you can go. You know what? Let me just tell you guys. Right out of the gates, I went and cleared everything. I killed the hilly trolls out there. I killed families of them. I did all the artifact dungeons. I did all the elemental bosses. I did the Geo-Bishop. I did the world bosses. This guy, Spiral Abyss as well. I was in there to try and get some freaking screenshots, fat thumbnails, harass the Fatuis, you name it, and Xiao conquered all of them. Now, that is during his old state, and we're going to talk about that. Why am I so animated? I haven't slept, but I just want to give you guys my honest feedback. So during his ult, this guy is a killer, okay? Now, the playstyle between him and Ganyu is, of course, different. With Ganyu, you just sit back, get some distance, especially with Amos, and you just pop off with her charged level 2 shots. Of course, you can incorporate her ult, and you should, and elemental skill to taunt, and also that deals a lot of damage. But for Xiao, it's a little bit different. You gotta get up close, you want things tightly clumped up, you gotta get in their face, and when you do, use his elemental burst, his ult. You got that umami juice flowing through his veins, and that MSG'd out damage comes when he's ulted. When he's outside of the ult state, I'm not saying he's bad, okay? His physical damage with his normal and charged attacks, they're pretty great. You gotta weave in the elemental skills. They were hitting for like 20s, 30, low 30Ks at talent level 6. And depending on the group composition, it can do a little bit more. But yeah, it was doing that. We'll go more in detail about when I used it and all that stuff. But yes, he's got the firepower. Are you surprised? I'm not, because, you know, I was expecting this. The numbers were leaning towards this. And his playstyle is just a little bit more aggressive and different compared to Ganyu. And, you know, Zhongli also got buffed, and I incorporated him with Xiao, and I love the results. It's going to be a little bit different between the two characters depending on the situation and things like that, but generally they have enough firepower to get you through the content. That is the TLDR. And the reason why I heavily invested into both was to slot them as my main damage, my daily driver. So in that regard, you kind of have to over-invest. They are a hyper carry, whatever the term is now. But in order for these characters to shine as your main damage dealer, you gotta you gotta grind all you got into them. Both of them started out the first day with crazy good artifacts. Like I said, I have been farming like crazy. So yes, I'm going to get a lot of crit damage and attack from the flower position, as well as my goblet position with the anemo damage right there. My feather is mostly centered around crit damage. Same with my sands position. Like I said, I haven't slept all day or eaten anything. But anyways, we got attack up in there. And for the circlet, just focusing on that crit damage. Energy recharge is great. HP, sure. I'll take that. Elemental mastery helps with the swirl. So I wasn't really going for any of the substats here. I just wanted that crit damage. So I stacked the shit out of crit damage, as you see. Right there, those are my oh, those are my artifact stats. So let's go into my attributes here. So we got 71% crit, 178% crit damage, and for the anemo damage, 61.6%. So this guy pretty much deletes during his ult, but what happens after that if you do not finish your target? Like, let's say you're fighting the Geo-Bishop boss, maybe you didn't pack enough punch, then you gotta think of the backup plan. There are a couple of ways to do this. One, get some energy recharge on this guy so he can go back up into his ult state, or just alternate out into another supplementary damage dealer, like a side DPS, like how you would kind of play with Child Constellation 0 when his elemental skill is down. Or you can supplement him with pretty much support characters that generate a lot of energy, like Sucrose, like Bennett, and Fischl. Plenty of options. If you're having energy issues like me, because I don't have a lot of energy recharge through my gear, what you could do is save the 2 elemental skill charges, use it back to back right before he goes into his elemental burst. Now you want to go right into his elemental burst state so that you get the energy particles while he is in his elemental burst state like you're seeing. The reason why we do this is because, as we've seen from time and time again, he does not generate energy when he is in his elemental burst state through his elemental skills. Now you can go with other Anemo characters for the Anemo energy particles. You can trigger their elemental skills, like I'm on Sucrose, use my elemental skills back to back, generating those particles. But before the energy particles get sucked into Sucrose, you want to switch back to Xiao, because when you switch back to Xiao, he's right in front of your screen. He is the active party member, so he's going to get more energy particles than those that are sitting on the sidelines. And I'll also try towards the end of the video where I go into the ult state and I just do his normal and charged attacks and show you guys how much damage he can do. If you want to be more stationary and have a little bit more control of what you're looking at, and you just like his normal or charged attack animations, then that is a playstyle that is pretty decent in the current content. As for the weapon, this is simming very high currently, and if you have the Vortex Vanquisher and you have a shielding character, that is also going to be up there as well. Now, depending on your energy recharge, this Skyward Spine is also great. It's a 5-star weapon. It's going to be great. The base attack is just too strong. Now, there is going to be a 4-star Spear. Why am I using the Aussie accent? There is this lithic spear that I discussed in like the previous video, and that is actually in the 5-star tier category because of its passives. It's not out in the game just yet. We'll talk about it more when it's actually in the game, and since it's a 4-star, it is a little bit easier to refine than a 5-star. The free-to-play 4-star option, I was heavily advising to get that Blackcliff polearm that was up in the shop last month. It'll be back next month. And the crafted one, the pike, physical damage, you're not gonna be using a lot of physical damage. If you get the battle pass, and that thing is getting more value because you also now get fragile resin, whether you pay or not. If you pay, you get more, right? So in there, deathmatch is also a great option. As for the artifact set, I went with the 2-piece Venerer as well as the Gladiator. Why not the 4-piece? Because that's only for normal attacks, not charged, not plunged. If you have a shield character, then Bolide works great for normal and charged attacks if you want to go that route. Now, Zhongli's insane. If you got Constellations, then congrats, you got another roided out character. If you have Constellation 0 or 1, congratulations, he's great. Alone or with Xiao, amazing. Why? When you hold down his elemental skill, you drop that stone steel, but also get that shield. And when you're protected by the Jade Shield, will decrease. Can you see it? Is my stupid face there? And when protected by the Jade Shield, will decrease elemental resistance and physical resistance by 20%, which helps my boy Xiao. Along with pyro characters like Bennett, his ult heals, and Xiao needs that healing. We'll talk more about that once we go back to Xiao. Fantastic Voyage heals up my boy Xiao and gives him that attack boost, and because he is your main damage dealer, he is the hyper carry, you want to give him all the fucking love. Now, some of my clips, I'm going to use Xiaoling for the pyro resonance for the attack boost. And Fischl is also good with, of course, Oz generating energy particles. Now we're back to Your Majesty. We have Xiao. And right here, when you check out his ult, life drained by 2.5% at level 6. And at level 7, it goes to 2%. That's where it gets umami juicy. That is the lowest it can get to at level 7. That is the sweet spot. Now, what about if you're shielded by like Zhongli or Diona? Do you still lose HP? And the answer is unfortunately yes. And as for talents, which one am I going to pretty much focus on? Because we're competing at such a crazy level for these, the butt plugs, the blueberries, dildos, whatever you fucking call these things. These are used for very popular characters right now, and one coming in the future, Rosaria, also needs this. So Ganyu and Xiao competing for this shit. So you gotta make good decisions. For me, pre-Constellation 6, I'm going to go towards splitting between the normal attack and his ult. For me, elemental skill is just the backup damage outside of his burst when I still want to sit on Xiao, and most importantly for the energy that it generates, because there are 2 charges. Also, just use it by hopping a little bit, and then you can just slap E, and then you can cancel it with the attack. And if the target is big, then you're going to leap up, charge through them, hit them, and then you're gonna leap down. So by doing that, you're min-maxing and dealing a little bit more damage. And when he's in his alt state, you don't really know he is in alt state unless you're looking at the back of his head to see if he's donning the mask or not. And this is not the character's fault, but I really wish like there was some way to track this. I want to know how long this effect lasts on like my HP bar or somewhere on the UI, so I know when to refresh it if I want to min-max to impress my audience that I don't have. Anyways, yeah, so that is something that I wish there was. Once again, it's not my boy Xiao's fault. Another thing is, it's the camera angle. I can't zoom out too much, so I don't know how much damage sometimes I'm dealing with the elemental skill. And of course, the plunge attacks, depending on the size of the opponents, I don't know how much damage I'm doing. I just know that they're either alive or dead. And those are just things that I wish the UI was optimized so that Xiao can be a little bit more enjoyable for me. Other than that, if you don't have Zhongli, that's okay. Of course, you're free to play. You're not gonna have every 5-star character. I understand. If you don't have Zhongli, he's still great. I spent a lot of time without him. With double Geo, I also tried. So with the Geo Resonance buff, shield strength increased by 50%. Additionally, when they have a shield, they're going to be dealing 15% increased damage. What about the Cryo Resonance? Well, the Cryo Resonance does give 15% crit if the target is either affected by Cryo or frozen. With Xiao, when he is in his alt state, it converts all this damage into Nemo damage, so it's gonna swirl off that Cryo debuff. So yeah, that's why I don't use the Cryo Resonance. It'd be great. And why am I even talking about crit? Why are you talking about crit, Zeals? You have 71% crit. Well, here's the thing. It happened quite often on stream. Yes, 71% sounds great on paper, but I went like 3-4 times without critting. So I'm doing some like mini PP damage. So I opted to use some crit food, and holy shit, it felt way better. Because during the alt state, you get, like I said, 10 to 11 plunge attacks. In that small window, you want to crank out as much damage as possible, because outside of his ult, it's not the same. Yes, I said this, it does still deal damage, but it just doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? You're not getting that high, the adrenaline rush pumped through your veins. I don't think it pumps through your veins. I also tried the double Nemo Resonance, and the one I like the most, of course, is going to be Venti, because he just clumps things up. I don't really care about lowering his resistance with Constellation 6 or Constellation 2. I have access to those, but on some of my clips, I just waited until his elemental burst was over just to show you guys, because I just wanted to clump shit together so I can deal massive damage with my boy Xiao and his plunge attacks. So yes, Venti, without saying, great. Jean is also good for pushing them into like a tight corner. That's great. She also generates energy every 6 seconds with her elemental skill. The heal is fat and juicy. She's sturdy. And yes, Constellation 4 is great if she doesn't punt everything out of the circle of her elemental burst. But yes, that is a 5-star character. What about a 4-star character? Well, we got our girls. Where's our girl Sucrose? I was using her like with 2 artifacts missing. With a 3-star weapon, I wasn't even getting the attack boost from the weapon. This one right here, I was just YOLOing. And yeah, she was fine. Her job was to just clump things together and generate a lot of energy particles with her elemental skill. 3 per elemental skill. There's 2 charges with Constellation 1. Dude, I'm going at light speed right now. I don't want to waste your time. So that was a great energy battery support character right here, Sucrose. Almost all the characters somehow does help with Xiao, whether through supplementing him by giving more damage, or to give him energy, or just finishing the job that Xiao couldn't in his elemental burst. So that's pretty much what I felt in the first day. If you enjoy the playstyle, this guy will not disappoint. He has the numbers to back it up for the current content. Oh, we just caught that. Anyways, hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I hope you guys either get Xiao, or if you're saving for another character, hang in there tight, because it looks like the trend is the future characters will not disappoint for the current content. Ooh, I'm gonna finish with the mask. Your boy, Klee out. Peace.